When I moved into apartment 314, I thought the hardest part would be starting over. Divorce does that to you. One day you have a house, a partner, routines, furniture that has lived in the same corners for years. The next day you're standing in a small apartment surrounded by boxes and silence. The building itself wasn't remarkable. A gray concrete structure from the late 1980s, tucked between older brick buildings and a convenience store. It had narrow hallways, old carpets, and the kind of elevator that hummed as if it resented every trip. Still, it was affordable and quiet. That's what the landlord told me. People mostly keep to themselves here, he said while handing me the keys. At the time, that sounded perfect. The first strange thing happened on the second night. I woke up at 3:12 a.m., not because of noise, because of light. A faint glow flickered from the living room, like a television screen changing channels. Half asleep, I walked down the hallway. The apartment was silent. But the TV was on. That didn't make sense. I distinctly remembered unplugging it while setting up the living room. The cord was still coiled behind the stand. Yet the screen flickered anyway. Black and white images flashed across it. Grainy footage, like an old recording. I stepped closer and froze. The image showed my apartment. Not a recording of the building. The apartment, the same couch, the same window. But the furniture arrangement was different. And someone was sitting in the chair by the window. A man, his back facing the camera. The footage glitched for a moment. Then the screen went dark, the TV shut off, and the room returned to silence. The next morning, I told myself it was a power surge. Or maybe the TV had internal battery power. Some weird technical thing. But something about the footage bothered me. Because the room in the recording wasn't exactly the same. It was older, different furniture, different curtains. Like it belonged to someone who lived there before me. I asked the landlord about previous tenants. Lots of people, he said casually. The building's been here 40 years. Anyone stay in 314 for a long time, he shrugged. Couple years, maybe. People move around. Nothing unusual. Nothing suspicious. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that the apartment felt. Occupied, not by a person, but by memories. The second incident happened 4 nights later. I woke again at exactly 3:12 a.m., this time to the sound of footsteps, soft, slow, coming from the living room. I lay in bed listening. The steps moved across the floor, stopped, then resumed. Like someone pacing, my heart pounded. "Hello," I called. The footsteps stopped instantly. Silence followed. After a minute, I forced myself out of bed. I walked into the living room. No one was there, but the TV was on again. The same grainy footage flickered across the screen. The apartment, same angle, but this time the man by the window turned slightly. I couldn't see his face, just the side of his head. The image cut to static, then darkness. I unplugged the television completely. Removed the batteries from the remote, just in case. But deep down, I knew the problem wasn't electrical. The apartment was showing me something. Something that had already happened. I started documenting everything. The time, the footage, every strange sound. Because there was a pattern forming. Every night the recordings continued. Every night they revealed more. Sometimes the man sat quietly by the window. Sometimes he paced. Sometimes he argued with someone outside the frame. Once I heard a woman's voice, angry, accusing, but she never appeared on screen. The footage felt less like a haunting and more like surveillance. Like the apartment had been watching someone, recording their life. One night the footage changed. Instead of the living room, the camera angle showed the hallway, the same hallway that led to my bedroom. The man walked into frame, closer than ever before. I could finally see his face, and my stomach turned cold, because he looked exactly like me. At first, I thought it was a trick, some weird distortion. but the resemblance was undeniable. Same height, same haircut, same build. The man on the screen stood in the hallway staring toward the bedroom door. Then he spoke. "I know you're watching." The words echoed through the silent apartment. But I was alone. The recording continued. He walked closer to the camera until his face filled the screen, then the footage cut. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next day, I searched the building's history online. Old property records, news archives, anything. Eventually, I found something. A small article from 8 years earlier, a police investigation. A man living in apartment 314 had disappeared. No forced entry, no evidence of a struggle, just gone. His name was Daniel Reeves. The photo attached to the article made my chest tighten because Daniel Reeves looked exactly like me. That night, I waited for 3:12 a.m. When the television flickered on, the footage was different again. Now the apartment looked empty. No furniture, no man. Just a camera pointed toward the door. After several seconds, the door opened. Someone walked inside. I leaned closer. The person entering the apartment was me. Not the man from before, me. The footage looked recent, modern, clear, and it showed me standing in the living room exactly the way I had the day I moved in. But the video continued beyond that moment. It showed things I hadn't done. In the footage, I walked to the window, stared outside, then turned toward the camera, and whispered something. The audio was faint, but I managed to hear it. I finally understand. The recording ended there. But a realization settled slowly into my mind. The apartment wasn't haunted. It wasn't replaying the past. It was showing the future. Over the next few nights, the recordings continued, each clip revealing something else I hadn't experienced yet. Me arguing with someone, me pacing the living room, me staring at the door in fear, and finally, one final recording. In it, I walked toward the camera holding something in my hand. A knife. My voice sounded exhausted. I tried to leave, the future version of me said. But it never lets you. My stomach twisted. What never lets you? I whispered at the screen. The recording answered. The apartment, the footage cut to black, the television shut off. And the room fell silent again, except this time, I heard footsteps. Behind me, slow, measured, coming from the hallway. I turned slowly, but the hallway was empty. Still, the footsteps continued, closer, then they stopped. Right beside me, the television flickered on again. But the screen didn't show the apartment anymore. It showed the hallway. From the same angle I had seen before and in that hallway, standing exactly where I was someone else? Someone who looked exactly like me, but older, tired, and trapped.